Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Return of the Knicks podcast. To salute, I am BX Sport Jedi Kev. I'm going to bring you my co-host in and say hello to Chef Dan. How are you, Dan?
Salute to everyone on the chat. Hope everyone's joining us in good spirits. I'm doing great right now. Could be doing better after some New York victories, but we're here to discuss the Knicks.
Let's get right to it. We saw Toronto Raptors. They came into Madison Square Garden. They beat the Knicks 113 to 104. And wow, there's a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about in this game. Chef Dan, where would you like to start first with this podcast here on the New York Knicks Toronto Raptors game?
Um, let's. I mean, we have to, as always. So let's start off with the stars of the game. We have to start off with the stars on each side of the game. In essentially our star Julius Randle, and the star for the Toronto Raptors, who I believe Pascal Siakam and Scottie Barnes was out, so OG Anunoby was the front man for the team. Let's start there with both players.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. OG Anunoby, what a career night. In 41 minutes, 36 points. Yes, sir, folks. 36 points with 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Phenomenal night for him and the Raptors. Let's start with him. What's your thoughts on OG Anunoby? What did you thought about that?
Oh man, OG Anunoby for me, it wasn't that he had an array of offensive moves that got him to his career best in 36 points. For me personally, there was extenuating circumstances that helped him get it. I believe this was truly a team moment where he got his career high because of what his team was able to do, in essence of getting offensive rebounds, a lot of offensive rebounds, and playing the passing lanes, so allowing this team to essentially stay in transition and give themselves multiple efforts at a possession to get a bucket.
I'm glad you mentioned about that. The Toronto Raptors finished with 13 offensive rebounds. 13 offensive rebounds. The New York Knicks has 7 for that stats. I could give you the whole shooting stats, but we're talking about the rebound disparity. What a difference! And also with that came with the points in the paint. The Knicks were outscored by 10 points with points in the paint. The Raptors had 44 points in the paint, while the New York Knicks had 34 points in the paint. Jeff Dan.
That is not. That can't happen. That can't happen at all, especially when we have a guy in Mitchell Robinson who it was literally one of the biggest mismatches in the game today. His 7 foot height plus his seven wingspan. It's a natural. It's a natural mismatch for anyone who faces him down low. And I know that overall the Raptors team is a bit lengthier and taller than the rest of us, but we still have that big man down low. So I think between him, Julius, and RJ, we shouldn't have been outscored in the paint. But it happened that night. And I think that more so leads to, I know we didn't do what we were supposed to, but I don't want to take away credit from the Toronto Raptors. Their team has been essentially built with a lot of positionless guys who can play the 2, 3, and 4. And sometimes, even if the small ball lineup calls for it, even some 5 positions. So these guys essentially, they're lengthier than us, and they have more of a they have more space to travel than us. So I can see it to where, like, we had a tough time defending them, maybe even in the paint. But just like I said, going back to the 3 bowls we had in Julius, Mitch, and RJ, I don't think we should have been outscored in the paint by that much.
Well, just to let you know, Mitchell Robinson played 28 minutes. He did come down with 12 rebounds. So he did have a high rebound. But I think the disparity is that it goes underrated was Taj Gibson. He left the game, didn't come into play. He only played 10 minutes. He didn't come back. We didn't see him in the second half due to an ankle injury. I think he had a sprained ankle. We saw Jericho Sims play for 5 minutes. He grabbed the rebound, not too much impactful, but we also saw the small ball lineup. You even saw R.J. Barrett play the 4 for a couple minutes, and that's when Toronto really went on a run, especially on that third quarter. The Knicks gave up 38 points at the third quarter. They allowed the Toronto Raptors to shoot 7 out of 11 from 3-point land. And when you have the 3 ball falling as an arsenal, you get back in a hurry in games, and you score quickly and in bunches. And I think that's the barrage of a perfect storm the Knicks faced when it came to that third quarter from the Toronto Raptors shut down.
I agree with you there completely. But another stat I want to look at, which I think people are kind of sleeping on, is those second chance points. Toronto had 16 to the Knicks 8. They doubled us in second chance points. But I think what's really, really telling is I think we didn't do enough rebounding as a team. The Toronto Raptors were 5 of 14 on second chance points. 5 of 14. They had 14 cracks at second chance points. The Knicks were had 8 points with 2 of 4. I think that's a big disparity right there. How do you say we saw that issue coming in? Because this isn't the only team that has out rebounded us. The Pelicans out rebounded us. The I believe the Chicago Bulls also out rebounded us. We are having a problem right now, and we faced this last year where we're not rebounding as a unit. So how do you think we solve some of those issues?
Well, it's with technique. I remember we were mentioning that on one of the round tables that we had after the play by play. So just so folks, welcome of us that are listening to us on Spotify or will watch us later on in YouTube. Salute to everyone in the chat. This is pre-recorded, and we're gonna run it, and we'll break that down in a few minutes. I remember when we did the round table on one of my watch alongs. So please join us for the watch alongs here on the BX Sports Jedi Network, and we have a few minutes after the game, and we do a small roundtable, and we were talking about rebounding. And in the Chicago game, although it looked like the Knicks were being our rebound, when the numbers came across, I remember because I did the stats, they were even. I think the Knicks actually had a two rebound advantage, and it's about. And we were mentioning, I says, "What? How do you think they're getting a rebound?" Is no, they're not getting a rebound. Well, they don't have the size. Well, rebounding is techniques. It's positioning your body, positioning. Of course, height always helps, and athleticism to jump and get it high up there. But if you establish yourself in good position and technique wise, if a player goes out, tries to jump over you, go over your head, usually the refs will call a loose ball foul over the back and so forth. So I think Taj Gibson, and this is the biggest point of Taj Gibson and Mitchell Robinson, they have a really good technique when it comes to defensive. The coaching staff of the New York Knicks, if it's either Kenny Payne, Johnny Bryant, or whoever, is really emphasized techniques, and Tom Thibodeau, how to rebound. And I think that comes from Thibodeau down, because we used to see the New York Knicks of the '90s. I was blessed to see them play. They were really good rebounding team as well. And it's all about techniques, positioning, and pushing your body. And especially when you have guys like Julius Randle who's wide, shoulder wise, that helps also with positioning yourself, rebounding. And Todd Gibson plays it like a champ. Todd Gibson is only like 6'10", 6'9", give or take, and he goes up against the top centers in the league, and he holds his own very extremely well. You never see that we get a rebound, or to a major disparity. He does a very good, phenomenal job, and I think, to me personally, it's technique.
I agree with you there. I think that's one of the things where we're starting to see Mitch get back into form, and with that, we're starting to see an array of new techniques for him. And so the rebounding, that's an issue that I feel like as a group we can take care of. I think technically we have to be sounder, but I think also one of the things that was kind of alarming in this Toronto game was Julius Randle's body language. I listened to the game via the radio because I was at work, and I did catch the bits of the third and the fourth quarter when I got home. And I was luckily enough to catch the game again on the MSG rewind, but because of commercials they have to cut the game short at some points. So you saw the game in its full entirety. To me, tell me, what did you see in Julius Randle's body language that was kind of disappointing to you?
Now, first of all disparity. The first quarter, Julius Randle was the MVP of last season. He was phenomenal. He had 18 points in the first quarter. He was on fire. He was scoring from three pointer. He got I didn't say he got complacent because he thought he could shoot the three. He thought that shoot the three ball was going to be there all night for him, shooting that, and he was playing phenomenal. Second quarter came around, and I remember when I was doing the play by play, I said, "Well, look, now the second unit is in here. Let's add on to this lead that Julius and the starters gave us." Second unit was okay; they were pretty good. The Knicks had a 15-point lead with 4 minutes and 28 seconds around there left in the half, before the half, and the Raptors just came right back storming. They Knicks went on to halftime around with a 4 point or 5 point lead, if I'm not mistaken, 57-54, 3 point, 3 or 4 point lead. I might be wrong, but I know it was a close half, and we saw Julius revert back to the 2020 2019 Julius Randle. A lot of dribbling, carelessness, and trust. He needed to trust. And I think the double team, or the way the Toronto Raptors threw the double team at him, frustrated him. And since he thought the shots were going in the first quarter, he was going to play a little hero ball, himself, to try to score and try to. I don't know if he wanted to go for 25 or 26 before the half, but he should have kept trusting his teammates passing the ball. And I think going forward, when he knows that the double team and and he thinks and it's coming to him, trust his teammate to pass that ball around, and good things are going to happen, in my opinion.
Um, I agree with you, but then there's something that was alarming to me as I rewatched the second quarter. We had a 15-point lead. You know, the bench was doing as much as the bench could. So Toronto brings back in their starters, and we bring back in our starters. And I believe during that second quarter, just before they cut the lead down from like 16-4, there were a couple of turnovers that Julius Randle had his hands all over. I mean, I could you talk to me about that, Kevin? What you saw, and like, because to me, I saw it was certain things where he there was one turnover where I guess he wasn't looking, and he tried to make a he wasn't looking where he was dribbling up to, and they stole it from him easy. The second turnover was a pass that was stolen, and I think he had another turnover where he just I think someone stole it from him, and so he fouled the person. What are you seeing there? Because that was a very bad sequence in that
It,
second quarter.
it was a bad sequence there because, first of all, before, though, he put himself in those situations by bringing the ball up. Now, I understand in the past the Knicks didn't have, and no knock on Alfred Payton. He was here, he played well, and he still thinks, he's still muscle memory, I call it. Still think that he doesn't have the point guard here, of the caliber, and he still think he's playing with Alfred Payton. Remember, you have Kemba Walker in this team now. I think it's time now, going forward, to have Kemba Walker play point guard, bring the ball up. I mean, it's like, oh, he's just bringing the ball up that timeline. Yeah, I understand. We want the ball in our best player, in Julius Randle, of course. We're not saying that he's not shouldn't have the ball in his hands, but when you bring the ball up to set up, you need the ball. You need Kemba Walker, because Kemba one could continue keep his dribble, have the dribble handle, make that bounce pass, make that pass. While Randle, he does have good handles, because we did have, when remember last year, whenever Julius Randle had a high assist game, Chef Dan, the Knicks always came up with a victory. Every time he had more than 7 assists, or I think it was like six or more, it was the magic
Six or
number.
more. Yep.
They had that victory with the New York Knicks, and I understand that he could pass the ball, and he could, high assist, but now teams figure it out. There's a blueprint on him. They're playing pretty much that blueprint the Atlanta Hawks did, double teaming him, running the double early, getting him especially in the corners, on the side corners, and you really got nowhere to go. Either you go out of bounds, or you go to the side there as the fly gets in the way. This
I'm sorry.
salute to my friend there. so so yeah, he's don't ever tell you that you saw fly, my friend. Now,
Oh man.
so with that case, you're gonna be prone to turn the ball over, and then, like you said, Toronto is lengthy. They have long arms. They play the passing lane smart. And when Julius is in a corner to the either side, left or right, he wants to do that long pass that Kai Frazier can't stand, going all the way across court, and that got picked off, and you set yourself up for failure, Chef Dan.
I want to. I agree with you there completely, and to even quote the great Walt Clyde Frazier himself, uh, cross court passes should never be allowed. That means your defense is not paying attention. And I noticed Julius does a lot of cross court passes. I guess, those are passes that kind of end up generating a good look at three, because a person, if they're not really paying attention, it's a big gamble. But with the huge reward, you're also throwing up the huge risk. Last question I want to ask you, man, before we move on to some of the other players, because I think this right here is I think this is one of the biggest questions that a lot of people had. Do you think Julius Randle took the matchup against OG Anunoby too seriously, like too personally?
Personally or lightly, because I think it was the opposite. I think he took it nonchalant, like this guy is not gonna score 36 points on me. And lo and behold, you know, he
Hmm.
gave up. I'm like, he goes, I'm playing Obi or OG or OG is not. It's not gonna. He's gonna score what 16 points, 17 points tonight off of me, and it's gonna take him more core. He's gonna struggle. My team is, especially when he got up to an 18 point, start in the first in the first quarter and he was like playing and he was, and then he's like, yeah, he took it. He came back. He took a breather. He came back in. He goes, man, this is gonna be barbecue chicken or AKA corned beef. Salute to Baba Booey, who always talked about corned beef. He said, forget about the barbecue chicken. He said corned beef. So he thought it was gonna be a corned beef brisket night. That he was gonna go in there and just eat, eat. And when he came back from his first rest, he came cold or lackadaisical, or he thought it was gonna be too easy, and it showed and it reflect on him. He actually played down to the level of his competition, if you ask me. And his competition rose, took the challenge and said, "You what? You're the Knicks All Star. You're the glamour and the hype of New York. Guess what? I'm gonna match you. I'm gonna try to outplay you and come to your house and embarrass you on your court." And for that one night only, OG did that. He came to the Madison Square Garden, outplayed Julius Randle. I don't think he embarrassed him, because this was, although the scoreboard says different, it was a close game and the Knicks battled there. But let me give credit to OG though. We're about 4 minutes or 3 minutes in the game. The Knicks had a nice run there, and they had possession there. Would quickly missed a wide open three that would have cut the game to 3 points. OG came back and hit a three of his own, I think elevated the lead to 6. There was a chance for the Knicks to cut it to 2, and he missed it. It was that swing play, and he hit it. And kudos to him. He just, I think OG just elevated his game, and Julius kind of nonchalantly played down at that level. And I'm not saying that OG's a bad player. He's not. He's he really impressive. He could play. He could do a lot of good things, but there's more of a history or scouting report with Julius Randle giving you this more than OG does. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I understand that completely. Okay, so then, wow, I didn't expect that answer. That was surprising to me, because a lot of people, to my knowledge, was saying that maybe he took the matchup so seriously that it got in his own head, and
No,
we even.
if he would have got it serious, I think he would have done a stupid foul like he did in the Orlando game when he got fouled by Wendell Carter Jr. That he got, aggressively, or got in his face. I think that's when he took it. That's when if Julius took it too serious, in my opinion. Go ahead, Chef Dan. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that was the perfect statement right there. And so, with that being said, oh man, wow, that's a perfect, that is that's a perfect guide right into the next player I want to talk about, which is RJ Barrett, who finished the night with 27 points. He had 5 3. Yeah, he had 5 3-pointers of 8 attempted. He had what, 0 assists. RJ Barrett, I don't know. He played a really good game. He had 6 rebounds, 0 assists, 27 points. It was a good game for him, in the sense of we're seeing a trend coming along in the right direction. What did you see out of RJ this game?
Well, actually, this is his third consecutive really good game. It started off with not just in Chicago with not just with the defensive stop, with the high assist. I know did tonight against the Raptors. He had no assist though, because he didn't leave any assist on the table either. There was not, because when RJ Barrett, one thing I can tell you, RJ Barrett, he's not a selfish player. People say, well, he didn't, and especially if you're looking at numbers just for tonight's game against the Raptors. The assist total is 0 because there was no opportunities for him to give easy basket, for him to give up the ball. That's one thing I like about his maturation of RJ Barrett is that he will look for his teammates and he will give up the rock to an assist to score. Like tonight, it fortunately didn't, but he took. I love the fact that he was aggressive to the right, to the left, to the paint, and then he allowed his game going to the rim dictate him to get now starting hitting 3 pointers. He was phenomenal from 3 point land, and he was stepping into it. Not forcing it, and that's what you want to see from an RJ Barrett. And phenomenal play from him. And going forward, I hope this is something going forward that elevates his game now and takes him with that because every game that he continues playing this well, and it's going to be a confidence builder. And remember, this is his third year in the league, 21 years old. And remember this, all his career since the age of 12, 14, when he was playing AAU, he's been groomed for this. He's been groomed for this kind of role to be not just a stop defender, but to be the main fiddle and to play around good players, good all-star players. Remember in college who we don't have to even mention who he had around him in college in Duke in AAU, phenomenal in Team Canada. He's been playing. He plays with the best, and he elevated, and he's groomed for that. So that RJ, people want to say this first 2 years, maybe he's too timid. No, he knows when to take over, when to step on, when not to step on other players of higher caliber's toes, and just excel. And he's like that Lego part that fits in any puzzle that would just will fit right in there and do his job and be groomed for success. In RJ Barrett, I think he's taking this next step here, and it's okay that the narrative around the league keeps putting him in the lower echelon of defenders, of scoring, or prospect. That's fine because when we see it night in night out in Madison Square Garden from RJ Barrett, I love to see it. Right now, let me ask you this: he's outplaying the number one pick in his draft class, if you ask me. But health wise, he's durable. 3 years in the league, he's durable. No injuries. Now, Knicks fans, I understand we all wanted the darling Zion Williamson, and I still want him on this team. I'm going to be the first one, and I'm going to be totally transparent. But I'm not upset that we didn't miss out on him because RJ Barrett hasn't missed a game. We got a player on the court that gives 100% each and every time on the court. And go ahead, check down. I'll take it if you have to step away for a moment and take over. And RJ Barrett just shows us night in night out that he's ready to take that next step going forward, and you got to like that. Now, in the other hand, I hope it doesn't cause a rip or discord between Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. I don't think that um, lackluster performance from Julius Randle, the bad body language, had nothing to do with RJ Barrett. I have another issue about it though, but I'll wait for Chef Dan to return in a moment. You have a little bit technical difficulties, but I think it's another thing, in my opinion, but we'll talk about that later. And that's just a hypothetical from my point and my saying, because I've been saying now for about a year. It's going to go about a year that I still think Zion Williamson ends up some way, somehow in the New York Knicks. Don't ask me by how, where, when, by hook or crook. I think Julius Randle will still be here, but I think it'll be Zion Williamson who will be the power forward going forward. But that's just for another time. That's for another discussion for another time. But I was saying, Chef Dan, I'm glad you returned, was that I think RJ Barrett and Julius Randle, there might be something there. I don't think that body language and that the score was because of RJ Barrett's maturation. I think it's something else. But going forward, I know folks are claiming should the offense run through RJ Barrett? And my personal opinion says no. I think you still run it to Julius Randle. What's your thoughts?
I wanted to ask you that question not because RJ's been doing so well. Me personally, I think it's something that this is the first time this year that we ever saw something like this from Thibodeau, and I think this was an admission during this game when he decided to put RJ at the four. It was kind of like to tell Julius, like, Julius, you're not getting the job done at all. Right now, you're being more of a detriment than a help to the team. I kind of have to put someone who can fulfill the same role as you, but not to the extent of you, but can fulfill the same role as you as far as sharing the ball and getting their own shot. And so that's what happened with RJ there. That doesn't directly, I don't think that that directly leads to, okay, now we have RJ Barrett. He should be the focal point of the offense. Because one of the things that Julius Randle has consistently done throughout the past last year and this year, and we're going to see more of it this year, that RJ has yet to do is learn how to deal with a double team. RJ still has these moments right now where if he gets a guy one on one where he feels like he can't beat him all the way, he pulls the ball back a little, tries to survey, tries to do something else. Julius, because he's the focal point, sometimes he doesn't have that time to just pull it back and think. Sometimes he has to have him make a split decision of where either I have the ball and I make a move, or I give it up and do something else and let the offense figure itself out through me moving off the ball. RJ hasn't had that yet, and so as much as I love RJ and as much as I want RJ to succeed, I think right now he's in the perfect spot right now. Julius is the number one guy, but we still don't know who the number two guy is. And right now, it was looking like Julius and Evan Fournier were forming such a good, 1-2 man combo. And Evan Fournier was going to get the brunt of all those assists that it looks like, hey, it could have been Evan Fournier. But Evan Fournier isn't doing things to the degree that RJ Barrett is right now. I don't mean, offensively. I think just all around. Evan Fournier is a great defender. He sometimes, for my liking, he gambles on steals a little too much, which is why he can get caught out of position sometimes. But when he's not gambling on steals, he's a solid defender. I think RJ has more of a. I think RJ's. I know Evan Fournier is more of a grown man than him, but I think RJ Barrett, he's putting on more and more strength. I think he might be the stronger defender right now. And I think he's just positionally, because RJ is not so athletically gifted to where he can gamble for steals and get back into a position. He's finding the role to where he has to be positionally sound almost 100% of the time just to give himself the best chance at defending someone. And because now he's defending some of the best wings, it doesn't necessarily require him to gamble on defense a lot more. If anything, he should just be positionally sound, and then those things will help him further on.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The position sound not gifted athletic. There's the one of the greatest power forwards that we've seen. I think you've seen him as well. He wasn't athletically gifted. He was very fundamentally sound and very well played, which is uh yeah. Go ahead. Chef Dan stepped out for a moment.
I wasn't even gonna, you know what? I'll let you say it while I'm off camera.
Tim Duncan was Mr. Fundamentals. Footwork, moving around, playing smart. I'm not saying RJ Barrett is that level, but if he could be gifted fundamentally, he doesn't have to be athletic. But if you're sound fundamental, plays your fundamentals correct, 101%, not to take those gambles and rely on athleticism, use your fundamental and your skill set, there's nothing you know what, and being mentioned in that same breath as a wing defender or Tim Duncan, Tim Duncan, let's face it, he wasn't Mr. Sexy. You didn't think about him in that era when he dominated. He wasn't the first thing you thought about, but when at the end of the day, you look at his fingers, he's got the hardware to show you he was his fundamentals won him championship. And we could hope that RJ could be a third of Mr. Fundamental, and we'll, as a Knicks fan, we'll be excited if we could get a third of it. I'm not saying he's going to be Tim Duncan. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if he comes that, if you put him in that same class as fundamentally sound and play the game correctly, you're gonna like what you see from this young man.
I didn't want to put him in the same breath as Mr. Fundamental, Mr. Big Fundamental. We're talking about the greatest power forward of all time.
Yes.
But you do have a correct point there that Tim, it wasn't out of the world the athleticism that he had, but we all know that between the ears, he was out there. He was a guy who we can say is similar to Michael in that sense of a guy who, well, not the assassin, the guy who's going out there to kill every night, but he came out there with a will to win, and he was going to impose that will on whoever it was. I could even remember when when the Spurs got LeBron and the Cavaliers, he kind of just after the matchup was over, Tim, man, we never seen him talk trash, but even this was trash talking. He kind of pulled LeBron to the side, said, "Hey, man, your time's gonna come in the league and you're gonna take over, but right now isn't it? I needed this one, and right now ain't your time. One day you'll grow, and one day you'll show out, and you'll be who you're supposed to be. But right now, I needed this one." And shoot, Tim was a consummate pro. He was the leader of that locker room that we see. Like, he was one of those guys that just, even if he didn't speak as much, but when he did, it spoke volumes. And so to have a guy like that, we already see RJ as being compared to that as far as off the court, having the work ethic and being a good teammate. So it's all about having the skills come together along with it, and that's going to come over time. But yeah, RJ is right where he's supposed to be.
Right, exactly. And then I remember during the summer, the countless hours that we spent on different platforms, different content creators. Salute to all the different content creators that follow us, that we were part of, and we worked with together hand in hand about trading, wanting to trade him for Damian Lillard, for, just imagine this RJ Barrett ascending. And I remember saying that, hold on a minute. Let's see him grow. Let him see his ascension here in New York, because we don't know what the ceiling is in his ascension. For a guy who right now is on top of the mountain, but we don't know how long he's going to stay on top of the mountain. He could be descending, declining. So right now, I'd rather have the player that's ascending. It might be at the bottom of the mountain, but we know that there's so much mountain to climb. Now, it's up to the player if they're going to climb Everest or they're going to go around the St. Mary's Park and climb on that hill, on that mountain. Or those that it's a Bronx reference, just to know to shout out to St. Mary's Park in the Bronx, and it's a small little hill. So that's why I make that analogy. So let's pump the brakes. Let's see a young player grow and expand and watch them grow in our own backyard, which is by Madison Square Garden. So I'm excited and happy that I'm seeing RJ Barrett taking this step forward. I understand, guys. It's only 7 games, going to the 8th game, and it's a small sample size. But we see that from year 1 to year 2 last year, and now we're seeing something, phenomenal. We see the growth, we see the improvement year to year, and that, as a Knicks fan, you should be excited for RJ Barrett going forward and this season. And let's see how it plays out. Barring injuries, I think that the future looks phenomenal for RJ Barrett, Chef Dan.
I agree with you there, but the one last thing I want to say on RJ Barrett is Porzingis couldn't do it, Frank couldn't do it, Damian Dotson couldn't do it. We've broken the playoff drought. We've broken a relevancy drought. Can we please break Charlie Ward's drought? That's all I ask. Let him see the second contract from us. And by the way, this is something I just want to put out there. People are already this divisive on RJ having 3 great games into the season already. There's a lot of Knicks fans that are very divisive, and rightfully so. But I want to see how divisive you guys get when that contract time comes up, because you guys are already discussing trading him now. But someone should break Charlie Ward's curse. A Knick who we've drafted has to at least touch the second contract. Can we please do that? Can we please hold on to our guys? And I'm not even saying that we hold on to him just for the sake of holding on to him, but every other team has done so and at least has been rewarded in some way by holding on to their guy. Even if they hold on to him just to trade him, they hold on to him. They give him that second contract. Let's give him the second contract.
Yeah, we still got about another year or two before we get to that. We cross that bridge. So but right now everything goes well there. They're not going to extend him right now. It doesn't behoove RJ Barrett either way. Anyway, if they could to sign extension, because he's playing so well, if he continues to grow and continues to score more and average better, he's going to make more money in the NBA. The way the cap goes up.
I agree with you there, but like I said, I just want, not for right now, but
Right,
just
right.
by the time his rookie deal is up, we just need another guy not named Charlie Ward to have been a Knick draft pick that signed that second contract. Let's
I
just get
agree.
that done.
I agree with you on that. Absolutely there. So we saw that the growing magic. Let me ask you this here. I was watching this and a concern for me. As we saw it in the Pelicans, we saw it. We seen it from game one. To be honest with you, the Boston game. We saw it game number three against the Magics. We saw it in every game other than the this game number two in Orlando, closing out the quarters. There's an issue. There's a disparity. There's a bad taste right now with the New York Knicks is closing out every quarter. The turnovers, the sloppy play, allowing teams to get on a minor run. Sometimes they almost lost that Chicago game. Final possession. They should have lost that game. You ask me. You're on the road, and the home team has the final possession with the crowd growing on you, and it was Joakim Noah night where they're honoring one of their own. Though he's still on our payroll, but he's still one of theirs. That's a concerning going forward. New Orleans, the game they allowed them to come back there. It was even though the Knicks led wire to wire in that game, in the Pelican game, but it felt like the Pelicans were a short run away from actually at home taking the game from the Knicks too. Even though again, maybe it could be us Knicks fans having a little bit of PTSD because we're gonna blow the lead, or but there's some truth to this, Chef Dan. And is it because Randall's bringing the ball up and should be Kemba ball, or what's your thoughts on that?
I wish I had the answer to this. I don't know, but it is definitely a concern. And I wouldn't have said it was a concern, but after this Toronto game, it became a concern because for me, it was one thing for them to play three full quarters and especially have a lead all through the quarters, and then for them to kind of slip during the fourth quarter. I think that happens to almost every team, honestly. Even a championship contending team. We're even seeing the Bucks right now, who we feel could maybe has a chance to go back in there and maybe repeat. But they're kind of, they're slipping and falling in certain places that they shouldn't be. It became a concern for me, not because this happened and we lost the Toronto game. We should have, as Julius Randle preluded to in his post game interview, we should have learned this lesson from the third game, our second back to back against Orlando. But now we're relearning that lesson. But now it's becoming even worse. It's becoming even worse because it reared its ugly head at the end of the half. So now we're becoming a team that can't finish halves and games. Before, if it just stuck continuously to, hey, we just have to figure out what's going on in the fourth quarter, that would be, I would say, hey, we can chalk that up to chemistry and, just not enough of a sample size for guys to figure out this is the direction that we want to go. Every team essentially is playing us differently, but we couldn't close out the half, and then we couldn't close out the fourth for this Toronto game. And we had plenty of chances. It goes right back into something that the Bronx Sports Jedi love mentioning is these momentum points. Whether we can cash in on those momentum points. We heard it from you earlier about how IQ had a chance to shoot a three to cut the lead down to two, but then he misses it. OG gets the ball, runs it back up, shoots a three, bang, extends the lead. That's a momentum point right there. And it isn't, I don't think it just ends right there with IQ misses the shot. Did we hustle back on defense? No, we didn't. Did OG have a contest? No, he didn't. And so he got the shot up, and it was that was there for him. There was also multiple chances where, while the game was still within range because Toronto messed up on a jump ball, RJ gets the ball, shoots a three, cuts it down to 9. There were plenty chances for us where we could have gotten just secure the rebound, run down, and maybe give ourselves a chance. There was a possession where I believe Toronto had, if not 3, then 4
Four.
offensive rebounds,
Yeah.
all in one possession. That can't happen. But that has to do with that. I think that's not more so technique. That's effort. That's
Yeah.
guys not putting their body on the line to do the things right. So we're not playing with the effort for that game. And because the effort's not there, the technique can never be there.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned effort, Chef Dan, because like you mentioned the effort, and yes, yeah, Knicks are 5-2, and it's not a complaint. They're 5-2. They could be worse. They could be. We seen the first 7 games years past how terrible they come out, but last year they had more effort. They were less talented, but they had more effort on the defensive end, and we're not seeing it right now. Defense is part effort, part technique, and part effort. Now, I guess they're still seventh overall in the NBA with efficiency and plus minuses, and they're the number two offense. I think they dropped maybe to three, but they're still number two, top three offense in the NBA. Around they fell out of the top 10 in defense. If you double check for me there, I think they're
Oh,
like
I,
11.
I I can let you know right now. As far as transition points, I just want to put this out there. Fast break points. The Raptors had 21 points, 9 to 14.
Wow.
Fast break, the Knicks had three, one
Yeah.
of one.
Yeah. That was
We
over
are
stoppage.
dead last in transition defense. I don't need to look up the league points to let you know that right now. I know we're dead last in transition defense.
Yeah, and those are the things on effort. Defensively, I think that's why I think they were like, well, the Knicks are not playing the same defensive intensity. Well, yeah, they're not because it's an effort thing, and it took them about 7, 8 games to get this New York Knicks stamp of defense last year. Remember they got blown out by the Indiana Pacers, who we're going to see next, by the way, tonight, and so forth, and Thibodeau started to preach that, and that's when Julius Randle started leading the effort by him playing defense, and it just became a good feel good story last year. I think the Knicks have to have one of those type of signature games, someone to come out there and set the tone, and it could be you never know, it could be a Nolan's Noel coming. He's due to come back any day now, or it could be a couple blocks, get in there, man the middle, and ignite this team, or even Mitchell Robinson get ignited with a couple blocks and get this team and go, oh man, these guys are effort. The way Mitchell Robinson dives on every loose ball, Taj Gibson, the way they're throwing their bodies everywhere, and that's an effort point. And we didn't see that on the Toronto Raptor game the last night at all.
So then let me get right into some of the rankings. This is on lineups.com.
Sure.
So we can take it with a bit of with a bit of grain of salt. As
Right.
far as team rankings on defense, right? The Knicks rank 20th in team defense.
Which is not a stunt table.
Rebounds allowed, we're 20th. Offensive rebounds allowed, the Knicks are 19th. In assists allowed, the Knicks are 27th in allowing assists.
Wow.
Steals, the Knicks are 25th. So we're not playing the passing lanes correctly. Defensive rebounds allowed, the Knicks are 18th. So we can attribute Mitch and Julius to that, taking away some of the defensive rebounds. Field goals allowed, the Knicks are 11th in no 11th
Yeah.
in field goals allowed. 3-point allowed. Woo! We're 26th place in field and 3 points allowed. In blocks, we are
24.
8th.
Okay.
In turnovers, we're 24th. In opponent's field goal percentage, I believe we're 22nd. No, we're fifth. We're fifth. That's a good ranking. Opponent's 3-point percentage allowed. We're 14th, middle of the pack. And defensive rating overall has us at
14.
24th.
24th. Okay. Okay. I mean, you know, you could see that the last year's time, the New York Knicks defense from last year isn't currently here yet. I'll be hoovered if this team doesn't finish there in 10 top 10 by the end of the season. And they're getting acclimated, moving their feet, knowing their lanes, trusting each other in rotation, in assignments. So especially when you have two thirds of your starting five new in Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, and you could say even Mitchell Robinson because Mitchell Robinson was started as a bench center, and then he came in, and then he got injured. So you could say 3/5 of your starting lineup are not from last year, and you're inserting them. So give that time to maturate. But I'm surprised that the second unit hasn't come in. Second unit is really here just to extend leads and play fast pace, up tempo and quick basketball. They're not really the defensive juggernauts. Although their defense does lead into some fast break offense. And I figured those fast break points were going to get better with the emergence of Obi Toppin moving the ball quicker and quickly high assists. So those numbers right now, it's only 7 games. We're going to the eighth game. It could be misleading. It could be changed. That's why we'll see it. That's why we don't overreact yet. Well, that's why we have to give it at least 25, a quarter of a season, or close to the 25-ish mark of numbers of games. 20 is around there when the season is a quarter away gone, and then we'll see there, and we'll see what adjustments and what trend the Knicks are go heading there because they are scoring a lot of points. The New York Knicks, they're averaging over what's it 104 or 107 points per game. If I'm not mistaken, the New York Knicks they're averaging really good high numbers, much higher than last year total. You could see the offensive. Uh, um, Go ahead, Chef Dan. What you got for me?
No, that's not it. I'm laughing because, like I said earlier, we want to take those rankings with a grain of salt because I'm
Correct.
looking at another website right now and they have the Knicks ranked fourth in total defensive efficiency. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean,
yeah.
we're fans and we're seeing it. Do we honestly think we're the fourth best team on defense right now?
No.
No.
No. I thought they were. I think they were like the. I personally, to me, the way I see it, they're like around 10 to 12, middle of the pack type of
we're
defensive team.
we're middle of the pack right now where I think some of the certain stats are the
Are
reason why
misleading.
we can't be top 10 right now is because the certain things we're giving away right now at a rate that we shouldn't be giving them away, and that's why yeah, I agree with you there. If I want to look at it, I mean, but then
Also,
again, I just looked at NBA.com and they have us ranked as number 4 overall as
But
well.
you know what? Also, if you want to look at that numbers and say the numbers misleading you because also they're one of the Knicks, despite being 5-2, they like one of the top records in the NBA right now. They're right there. They might be top 8 overall in from including the Eastern and Western Conference. They be like might be a number top 8 or 6 team in the league. So the defensive numbers that they're that close or efficiency, they're winning these games. At the end of the game, you outscore your team and you score more points and how you do it, you take advantage of the turnovers and stuff like that. So I can see with those numbers, that's why we have to pump the brakes and wait until we have a larger sample size to see and allow it to matriculate and expand to see where we are with the Knicks. But as of right now, the first 7 games, we're not seeing the same defensive intensity of last year. Running and gunning, we don't see the blocks. And of course, Nolan Noel isn't here still and it's not returned yet. Hopefully, we get some good news. He was day by day. He said he needed one more day to be ready. So the one more day is tonight against the Indiana Pacers. But what we'll do is right now we'll go over the remaining of the Knicks players and points. We'll go with the third leading score. RJ Barrett finished with 27.6 rebounds, no assists. Remember we mentioned that. We'll go with the second leading scorer, which was Kemba Walker. Now Kemba Walker had 15 points with 3 assists, 3 rebounds in 28 minutes. Okay, he played a pretty decent game. Okay, game, pretty good there. Not the usual Kemba Walker. I think that man needs more of the ball in his hands and not use him as a shooting guard type at times. I think he needs to be a point guard, Chef Dan. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna go right back to what I said during the what was the last game before Toronto? What was the last game we played in the Garden?
It was Orlando.
It was Orlando. Matter of fact, yeah, it was during the Orlando game. And since then, Kemba has had a bit of an offensive explosion. But even then, I'm gonna say something right now that sounds ridiculous, but I feel like it's the truth. Kemba needs to be more selfish.
Okay.
And when I say selfish, like I know that RJ, like we now know, like watching so far, we've known this since last year, but the ability has stayed consistent. If RJ wants to score in a quarter and like score like 7, 8, 10 points in a quarter, he can do that easily. If Julius can drop 18 in the quarter, like he can do that. He can drop those instantly. And his 2-man game with Evan Fournier can allow it so that if he doesn't take over the quarter, him and Evan Fournier can take over a quarter. I need a quarter right now where where I just hear dribble, 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 because I need Kemba Walker to be a lot more selfish. He's like, we're noticing now that a lot of people said that maybe the burst isn't there. It's still there. He's kind of picking and choosing when to turn on the burst. And I think that's why it was so important for him to be next to a Derrick Rose, because he's noticing. Like, it's no knock on Kemba Walker. He did all he. I hate Michael Jordan. He dedicated all that time in Charlotte and put on such a show in Charlotte that right now what we're getting is really the remnants of that, because Kemba Walker, we know, is a guy he's not shy about leaving it all on the court. He'll leave it all on the court. So for me, really, it's like, I know the burst is coming back. It's there. He's able to get people off on their, just all he needs is half a step for you to lean one way the wrong way, and he can go the other way and beat you there. Kemba Walker is still that guy, but I need a selfish quarter from him. I need something where he's kind of like, to a point where it annoys Knicks fans. Like, yo, why is Kemba ball hogging this? That's what I need. It has to borderline be like that for me. What
Okay.
about you?
Okay, I could see that there. I think that might be happening if we continue to see Julius Randle struggle and having this kind of body language, disengage or down on himself, or that lackluster, you'll see Kemba Walker's take over, and I think you'll see him have a two-man game with R.J. Barrett. I think those two, and mark my, I'm saying if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised if he says R.J. takes R.J. under his wing, and they're gonna go, and you know what, we're gonna do this, and we'll get Julius right, but right now we're gonna have to keep, young man, you're gonna Julius gonna have to take a seat back, and we're gonna have to go and attack, and I can see that. I can see that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Kemba Walker, and all depends on matchup tonight. Tonight he's gonna have a tough one, with the Indiana Pacers. But hey, Kemba Walker, there's never been a challenge that man has never been afraid of, and he embraces. So you gotta like that. He has the moxie. He has the makeup and the moxie that we need as a point guard there. And speaking of point guard, is there any?
BX to be next, right?
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you this: any concerns for Derrick Rose? Third game in a row, subpar. Not his usual Derrick Rose self. He came out like a hot pistol the first three games. Chef Dan, what's your thoughts on Derrick Rose struggles?
Um, I wish I could be concerned about Derrick Rose, but currently Derrick Rose is shooting 50% from the 3-point line. We've never seen Derrick Rose shoot 50% from the 3-point line. That means when he was hot, he was what, 55, maybe 60% from the 3-point line. I think he's coming back down to earth. I think this is one of those things where he's been trusting the three ball a lot more, almost to his detriment. I miss the Derrick Rose who used to it's not even to say that isn't there, but because he's been trusting the three ball a lot more, he hasn't been willing to go to just break down an opponent off the dribble and get that nice floater in, because his floater and his forays to the rim are just beautiful. I haven't seen a lot of that from Derrick Rose. I've seen him do a lot more floaters, and because he's been trusting the touch more, he's going to the mid range and the 3-point. But yeah, Derrick Rose is, it comes and goes. This is why the bench players are the bench players. We expect them to have more off nights than the starting players. So, if anything, I just attribute that to the hot shooting streak is coming back down to earth now, and so now he just has to change the diet of shots. When he changes the diet of shots, then the opponents, the way they cover him, will change as well.
I'm glad you mentioned, because before the Chicago game, he was shooting 64.3 from the 3-point line, and also in that Philadelphia 76ers game, the Knicks were being outscored in the paint by a big margin. And when they came to into the second unit between Derrick Rose and Alex Burks, they cut that disparity. And also the free throws. They were being out free throws. Joel Embiid was having a muck. And between Rose and Burks going to the glass, going to the rim, attacking the glass, they narrow that gap, point in the paint, and also going to the free throw line. I think that's when the Knicks are successful. I think if those two men, if they were to attack the glass and do those kind of going to the rim and drawing fouls, I think that's going to help out a guy or another guy who's struggling on that offense with his shot is Emmanuel Quickly. And we see Emmanuel Quickly currently here struggling with his shooting, but he's paying the price with his offensive game. But he's doing what he worked all summer long, and he's putting the work in on becoming a good assist and getting Obi Toppin involved in the game. And that's not for us to get, oh, what's going on with Quickly? We need to give other people more Quickly minutes. No, Quickly is fine. Those shots will come in there, but you got to see all around the other parts that everyone was complaining about Emmanuel Quickly last year. He's playing well, much better this year with those stats, Chef Dan. What's your thoughts on that one?
I mean, the only thing that isn't going Quickly's way right now is the shot. And because he was so dynamic with his shooting, that when the shooting isn't going down, people are starting to complain a lot more. But people seem to forget, man, Quickly was surprisingly good at defense last year. He's gotten way better at defense last year. It's to a point now where, like, sometimes, like, for a lot of guys like Kemba or Derrick Rose, if they get caught down in the block on a mismatch, I'm worried about those guys. With Quickly, sometimes I'm not so worried because he's stronger than he looks. His wingspan is longer than he looks, and down there in the restricted area, even though he's not like Kemba, who's getting getting offense, getting charges, and trying to, get the ball back into the Knicks' hands. But he's playing sound positional defense, not extending his hands or finding it in the cookie jar. He plays strong baseline defense, and when a person goes up for a shot, he's contesting the best he can. If they get the shot, they get it. If not, he did his job as far as contesting. And so Quickly is doing that amazingly. Getting Obi involved, like, I'm going to say this right now, Quickly has made more of a conservative effort. Kemba Walker, whenever he's in the lineup with Obi, makes an effort to get Obi involved. Alec Burks, now we're noticing he's making more of an effort to get Obi involved. And Derrick Rose, from the day he was traded to the New Yorks, one of his plans was to get Obi involved. So last year it was just Derrick Rose getting Obi involved. And then we kind of saw it in the playoffs when Obi had that magnificent dunk that lit the garden on fire. That was a pass from Alec Burks, keeping his eyes open, keeping his head up, eyes open, as Walt Clyde would say. So we're noticing that with a lot more of these guys. Like, what Quickly is going to have to learn to do, really, and this is one of the things where I felt it comes along with the sophomore slump. He's facing a sophomore slump right now. We don't know how long it's going to last, but he is currently facing a sophomore slump. We can't deny that right now because his one true skill is being hampered. But he's learning. He's way better at passing the ball and getting Obi involved. So now Obi is having better games. So now it isn't all up to Quickly. But to me, what I think that most rookies, coming into their sophomore year, what they struggle with, and this is something I feel like they consistently are going to struggle with. During that offseason, he put on a lot of muscle. It's not apparent, but we see Quickly, he looks like a stronger guy. With that muscle now, the touch on the shot isn't the same. You're noticing when he's shooting, he's kind of aiming his shot a lot more. Even the long range ones, he's aiming it to a point where they just touch the front rim. I remember last year when he was shooting the long range shots, they would touch the front rim only because he wasn't strong enough. And some people felt like, hey, maybe if you just take that one step extra, you'll start to hit them. You notice during the season, he started to take that one step extra. He hit them, felt going, got confidence going. So now he got back to that range he was shooting from before, and he gets those shots. I never want to take away that outward range from Quickly because that's something every capable guard in the league has the ability to do right now. It shoots several feet beyond the 3-point line. Because the way defenders are taught you keep your feet at the 3-point line. That's how you defend. You don't want to run in and give that 3-point shot. I don't want to take that away from Quickly. But it just comes with these struggles come with the sophomore slump. He just has to learn now the balance between assisting and shooting. And what's more is he's going to have to get used to his own strength when shooting. I feel like right now some people want to credit the Wilson ball, the fact that we changed from Spalding to Wilson in the NBA, and so it's a different touch, a different feel, a different bounce. Paul George has said it that we're going to see a lot of bad misses this year, and maybe that could be, but for me personally, I think regardless of the addition of the Wilson ball, Quickly was going to come in and have these struggles because he let us know off the rip he was working very, very hard during the offseason. That lets me know that sometimes you can't control the results you get. Sometimes you work so good at it that now it's a strength that you have to now get used to. We all have gotten to that point where as we're growing and maturing, a new sort of strength is found within us and we have to get used to that. So that's really for me, that's Quickly's biggest issue for me. And maybe this matchup with the Pacers is one where he gets rolling because not for nothing, there's a guy on that team in Chris Duarte. He's been showing off, but during summer league, if you watch like I watch, Emmanuel Quickly and he were not on the best terms.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. With quickly with that, I think muscle memory. With him, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll shoot better. He's improving everywhere else. He's a gym rat. He's one of those. One of the reason why he's endured so much to Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff. He's there. He's not one that has to be told get in the gym and work. The guy does it voluntarily after the game. Setting the tone with McBride and Grimes and bringing working with them. Kevin Knox as well. Kudos to those guys after the game and working. And I believe Jericho Sims as well is a part of that group that goes in there and totally work and Wade Selden. So those guys are there after, even though they're staying sharp, getting ready, keeping themselves loose when Thibodeau calls upon them to be ready. And it's led by Emmanuel Quickly, even though he's struggling with offensively, he's still putting in the work and setting as an example. And that's for a young man, second year, the sophomore slump on the court, but off the court, he's acting like a real seasoned, mature veteran, in my opinion. And you have no price or no type of you. There is no way of measuring that valuableness that Emmanuel Quickly brings off the court as well as on the court. So hopefully, good things come for those who can work hard and grind and do everything walk of life. And I think Quickly will be fine. I think he'll get it. He's gonna have a lot of shiny moments. With that said, I guess we'll wrap the Raptors game. We'll call that they lose that game. So we saw the good, the bad, and the ugly with the New York Knicks. We spoke about that. The good, R.J. Barrett. The bad, this loss at home, and the ugly was the effort that they gave us on the court, both Julius Randle and the team collectively. That third quarter, they allowed 38 points, 7 out of 11 from 3 point line for the Raptors, being out hustled, being outplayed. The Knicks won every quarter except that third quarter, and that's was their doom, the demise there. So we move on to that. We'll preview tonight's game. Before we preview tonight's game, we'd ask you guys to give us that like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, please follow us. Hit that like. If you're in Anchor FM as well, follow us in all the different platforms of the podcast. We do the Return of the Knicks. We also do the MMA watch on the MMA program, weekly MMA talk with Chef Dan in Austin. Look for that one to drop soon. They're going to cover the last UFC event, 267 plus 268 coming up. Usman and Covington, and I can't wait to hear their takes on all the fights and all their breakdown, recaps, previews, and so forth, and all combat sport fighting from here. We provide you on the BX Sports Jedi Network, and also it's coming soon. We're gonna have the Yankees roundtable as well. Ranger Town Republic podcast as well. We'll be dropping that. The Rangers coming back home from a West Coast trip on the road, and they're playing very well. So we'll look for that there. So now we'll preview the Indiana Pacers, who are a 2-6. Rick Carlisle, new head coach there. Although the Indiana Pacers are coming off a win, they won. They beat the San Antonio Spurs 118 to 131 that night. Wow, the Spurs gave up 131 points and it did not go to overtime, by the way. They had good balance scoring. Of course, they're going to be led by Sabonis, who had 24 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists in 36 minutes. It's good to see our old friend Karis LeVert back in the lineup. He had 16 points in 24 minutes with 2 rebounds, 7 assists. Miles Turner, man in the middle, had 19 points, 8 rebounds, 24 minutes. And of course, we talk about their darling, the rookie, Chris Duarte from the Dominican Republic. He had 18 points in 28 minutes, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. TJ McCullough had 10 points, 10 assists. So TJ McCullough being unselfish, getting his team in good position, 10 assists, double double there in assists in 26 minutes. And then Justin Holiday had 17 points with 4 assists in 25 minutes. Those are the main guys that had their scoring there. Four of them, it's going to be a handful because everyone scored. You had Clayton Martin with 8 points. Brad Wanamaker had 5. They had Torrey Craig had 7 points. So they had balance there for the New York Knicks with first year head coach Rick Carlisle trying to establish himself there in Indiana. What's your thought going in there tonight?
Um. Wow. This might be. Oh man. This might be another good, bad, ugly game, and it's all dependent on who. It all depends on which Julius Randle we get, because Domantas Sabonis is one of those guys that brings out the best out of Julius Randle.
I agree.
So it's all about, to me personally, if we get a Julius Randle that he goes, I had, like, what happened with Toronto happened. You got to let go of that last game, let go of everything, and come into this game knowing that, hey, you and Domantas Sabonis are about to go to war, because you're technically about to go to war. Like, when Julius and Domantas Sabonis battle, woo! I know the Pacers are doing bad, but this potentially could have been one of these TNT, ESPN type of matchups, because we know these two big men are going to go to war. There's going to be a lot of passing. The offense is going to be fluid at some point because both of these guys like getting their assists, but they both like being bullies in the paint. If Julius and Domantas can somehow cancel each other out, we're going to have maybe the bad or the ugly could either come from Julius or Mitchell Robinson.
Mm.
Because I feel like Miles Turner, he's a guy who consistently puts in the work in the offseason, and just because he's on the Pacers, I think he doesn't get looked at as much as he should be. He's a great prospect, and I know there were even some discussions earlier in the offseason about whether some Knicks fans wanted to trade Mitchell Robinson for Miles Turner. Well, you're about to get your answer tonight, folks, because it's going to be a battle of the big men. And so the biggest thing that worries me is the matchup between Kemba and Karis
McCollum?
LeVert.
Okay.
Not McCollum. I think LeVert and Brogdon are going to be in the starting lineup. So that's going to be That's going to be the matchup between Kemba and Fournier is McCollum and Brogdon, and more so like.
I think Brandon is hurt. I didn't see him on. Haven't seen him on the roster. I'll check. We'll check the
Give me
scouting report on the
one
injury.
moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got to check the scouting report most definitely.
I know Gibson might not play tonight. We might have Nolan Noel to return. So now you're giving a little bit of fits to. I know Noel might not be in condition or shape to play a full, but if you get a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes out of you know Nolan's Noel to come in with the second unit, or even to play a couple minutes against Miles Turner, that could help out also. So, but I think the matchup to we look to really is Levert is RJ Barrett on Levert, if you ask me, because I think the guards is or Duarte on Barrett. Now, can RJ Barrett take the assignment and stop throw some cold water on this rookie Chris Duarte? That's going to be a fun matchup, if you ask me, because that's going to be like the beginning of a matchup that we're going to see years to come, in my opinion, in the NBA. The Duarte and RJ Barrett, that's going to be fun if they end up being matched up on that young man.
Well, it says here on NBA.com for the Pacers that Malcolm Brogdon is questionable.
Okay.
They're hoping to get him back for this game,
Okay.
but he is dealing with a hamstring strain. So I don't
Mm.
know. Yeah, when someone's hamstrung, when their hamstring is hamstrung, that's you don't want to play with the hamstring at all. That's one thing where I think is they're gonna be very cautiously optimistic about that. So
With that said, if this team was coming in like last year's defensive intensity, I would say he won't be playing. But since the Knicks haven't been that defensive intensive and haven't shown it yet, maybe I think he'll play. I think he might play if he's. But you said hamstrings are tricky. You don't want to re-aggravate that because you're going to be out longer than normal from your first diagnosis. I agree with you on that shift there.
Oh man, and this is another thing too. Is I think Thibodeau is gonna have an aneurysm this game. I know we've seen Tom Thibodeau has been very stressed. I think he's gonna have a heart attack this game. I'm and it all. I think it all lends back to the Toronto Raptors game. We gave up how many steals for that game? I believe it was 10 steals,
I'll get
9.
you. I'll get you that right now. I have no problem with that. Give me a minute. And Toronto had 12 steals.
Toronto had 12 steals. If you know anyone who's gonna steal at least is gonna have at least 6 steals, it's that little man TJ McConnell, man.
Yeah,
He
but
just he just loves running around and picking pockets, and Randall has been especially loose with the dribbling this year. I don't know.
and RJ is no picnic either with his ball handling skills. That's why it's another reason why you don't run. You haven't you're not yet. You don't run the offense yet through RJ Barrett because he haven't shown us yet that he has that ball handling ability that we crave for him to take his game to another level. So we have to rely heavily on a Kemba Walker, Derrick Rose coming forward. We might even see Quentin Grimes might get a few minutes tonight. You never know with the way Indiana has a lot of guards coming in there. Maybe not. Although we haven't seen any of that from Thibodeau, but maybe Thibodeau sends a message if he sees a lackluster performance from his starters or players to say, you know what, I'm going to bring in another guy and send a message, even if it's for 5 6 minutes, and just to send that message that I have no problem reshuffling my rotation and moving guys around. Who knows? Who knows? But you know, can the Knicks go out and road because they look like they're much more focused team on the road, if you ask me. And I think
Almost definitely. Yeah, they
they're
do look like the more focused team. But I'm gonna say something right now that we've been saying this about this certain player, but I'm gonna let you know right now the game runs through his hands, and that's R.J. Barrett.
okay. I can see
R.J.
that.
Barrett has consistently found a way to perform more than his season stats would indicate whenever he faces Indiana.
Yeah, he
Whatever
does.
his season averages are, whenever he faces Indiana, what I don't know what happens there, but he has a tendency to go off on Indiana. So I don't know if Indiana is going to be more focused on trying to stop him, and maybe Julius can get away from that long enough to where they might say, you know what, all right. It was wrong of us to try and direct all this attention to RJ. Let's get right back to stopping Julius, and then that maybe helps RJ find his way later on, but this game definitely runs through RJ Barrett's hands. If he can be, the guy to really win his matchup, I think that'll open up the floodgates for everyone else to get theirs.
Yeah, and you know who also I could see having a really good game tonight? It's gonna be two-man game. I think quickly and Obi Toppin is going to have a really nice game, so a really good serviceable game, and I think that's going to help Derrick Rose alleviate. Maybe Derrick Rose felt, I don't know, maybe that's if he gets those guys going, you could see Rose. I think all in all, and long story short, I think the Knicks separate this win and and I'm going to go on a limb. I think the Knicks had an 8 point victory against Indiana tonight, and I think it's because of the second unit. I think the second unit is going to create a big lift separation. Indiana's going to be playing uphill at home, and I think the Knicks down the road they're gonna miss a few free throws, make it of course dicey, and they come away on the road with an 8 point victory, in my opinion. Chef Dan. I think and I'm not saying it's gonna be an easy game, but I think they're gonna it's gonna be similar to a New Orleans Pelicans type of victory. You feel like that Indiana any moment could win this game or come back and the sky could be falling, things negative could happen, but I think the Knicks, if you look at it at the end of the day, man, they actually won that game even though they didn't look so hot. I think the Knicks come out with an 8 point victory on the road in Indiana. I would like to see what Vegas thinks, but I would like to see your take first on that.
Yeah, let me get right in front of Vegas. Cut the line, Vegas, and give my take. Um, you say 8 points. I say anywhere from. All right, this could be down to a two possession game that we win, or it'll be a complete blowout.
Hmm.
And I, I know, it sounds crazy, but the reason why I want to say this is because watching what I remembered was, and I don't want to kind of take this into account of what I'm thinking, but I have to. The preseason game that we played against the Pacers earlier this year, we both essentially played our starting lineups and our bench all the way through the game. And the Knicks were able to set the tone that, hey, we're scoring a lot more threes this year. And the Pacers could effectively do nothing about it. Um, it is going to be dependent on our bench. If our bench comes out there and uh, performs very well, then we could possibly see a blowout. But if the bench is a dud, that's where I see this game going into a two possession game.
Okay, that's you make good points there. I didn't want to seem like a homer to say it was going to be a blowout. I think, like I said, I think the Knicks were going to be leading this game, not wire to wire, but they will be leading this game, and similar to the Pelicans. And I think getting sloppy down allows the Pelicans to, I mean, excuse me, the Indiana Pacers to come back here and make it close. Like you said, maybe a two possession game, but they'll win by 8 because they'll have to hit free throws and make it a three possession game, and they go away with that 8 to 9 point victory. I'm gonna go 8 point victory tonight. That's my train of thought with that one there tonight. Uh, you
Oh,
know,
okay. See, look, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know right now the Jedi is very smart. He even accounts the window dressing that the players do at the end of the game for his score prediction. The Jedi is very smart. Taking bets from. I'm just saying, Vegas offers something, and the Jedi says something. mm, Let's let's follow the Jedi.
we shall see if I'm right or wrong. Hey, I have a nice Johnny Walker blue. If I have to eat crow, I'll wash it down with a little Johnny Walker blue label, and I'll just chew my crow softly, and I'll just take my medicine if I'm wrong with it. But I think I can see that unfolding there. Because Indiana, they're 2-5. They just scored high output in scoring. That means they had to play a perfect game. And San Antonio is rebuilding. They still play good defense. They still give effort. But I also see this San Antonio Spurs team up close and personal. They got good players, but they tend to be sloppy. They don't have the shooters of 3 point caliber and so forth. And I'm not taking away from that victory from the Indiana Pacers over the San Antonio Spurs, because at the end of the day, you beat the teams in front of you. We could say that, and we lost to Orlando Magics, and we just lost to the Raptors. Raptors still, although a good team, but the Magics came in and after we blew them out almost close to 30 points. The first game. And with that said, anyone could beat anyone at any given night in the NBA, and but that's also comes therefore if and I think Julius is going to get up. I think Julius Gavin is going to be up to par because he does. Be honest with you, Julius Randle got the All Star nod last year because he beat Sabonis head to head, in my opinion, and that resonated in NBA coaches and mindset because those two players. Because I asked this question before on different platforms and on different streams. I said, if you were to start an NBA team right now and you were drafting and you had to pick Sabonis or Julius Randle, who would you go with? And I asked that question, and that was almost a 50-50. And I will put that in our YouTube poll question as well. So guys, I'll look for that there. If you're drafting and starting an NBA team, when you have to pick your power forward between Sabonis or Julius Randle, give us your vote and who'd you go for, Julius or Sabonis, if you had to pick there. And try not to have your homerism lenses. Try to look at the numbers and the impact each player provides on the court to their respective team. And see if they bring a forth there. And right now, that's a toss up because you could be honest with you. My opinion, you can't go out wrong with either one. If you put Sabonis on this Knicks team, they'll be dangerous too, and just as well as Julius Randle, or if he was to go to Indiana as well. So the only difference is Julius Randle won't be hurt as much because where the market that he plays in. But other than that, I think those guys are a matchup, and they relish to play one another. In my opinion, I know they're salivating to play one another, and it's because and really whoever comes up ahead really gets that All Star nod. If you ask me, from the coaches' second unit, I believe so, Chef Dan.
Um, maybe, but this might be a battle for the starting, power forward position, in the sense of, like, you know what? It has to be the bench, because they're gonna vote Giannis in as a power forward. I know what they're gonna do. They're gonna vote him in as a power forward. Yeah, this is definitely be this is gonna be a battle for the All Star. But then again, who know? This is too early in the season. I
Of
don't want to say
course,
it's a battle. But what I can say is that if you enjoy basketball, like real basketball, and you enjoy all forms of it, whether it's the highlight 3-point shooting or that bruiser bully ball, you're going to get it all in this game. You're going to get everything in this game. I promise you that. You're going to get high intensity. You're going to get damn near fights happening. Two guys are going to get into each other's face. They're going to push and shove at some point. The teams are going to have to separate them. You're going to see high octane volume threes being thrown. You're going to see a lot of transition being put in this game. But you're also going to see a lot of tight defense, because this is Rick Carlisle versus Tom Thibodeau. Two coaches who know what they're doing. This is the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks. And granted, the Indiana Pacers look a little downtrodden right now. They're like, it isn't for a lack of skill. They could easily be an over 500 team right now if the ball just bounces a few ways in their direction. So you're gonna get everything in this matchup. You're gonna get entertained for sure. This is gonna be a doozy.
I agree with you. That's going to be a phenomenal. I cannot wait to give you the play-by-play later this evening, tonight, here on the BX Sports Jedi Network YouTube channel. If you're on us on Twitter, you just find us BX Sports Jedi Network. Well, you could also stream it there in Twitter, as well as Facebook. We'll be on Facebook as well. Look for us there at BX Sports Jedi, and we'll be there. You could watch it there in social media. You don't have to drain your battery, or if you're on the laptop, on the computer, or in your tablets, you could put on YouTube or on your TV screen. If you don't want to, if you can't catch it and you don't have the MSG network due to Comcast, or if you're just out of the market, out of the New York market or the Indiana market, come and watch it along. I try to describe it as best as possible. I cannot give you the video, excuse me, or the audio, but I could illustrate it and do the play-by-play watch along. We have a heavy chat interaction as well. We get all the folks in the chat, always writing and always asking questions, and we always update. And we're internationally wide, because we have folks from Philippines, from Taiwan, from India, from Australia, from Dominican Republic, from Argentina, Brazil. All come in and comment and says hello. And we had for Bahamas the other day, and so forth. And we love it. We love to see our international folks coming in, and the love that the Knicks have international all over is phenomenal, and we love it. Not just in the United States, but all over the globe, and we love it. So, with that said, shut down. Let's give our final thoughts, and we wrap this podcast up, and we'll get ready for the next one.
My final thoughts: RJ Barrett, 29 points.
Nice, very well, very good. I think the Knicks win tonight. I think they'll go over another 100 points. I think they'll score 118 or 109 around there, 111 around that type of deal. I think they'll be led. I think once again they'll be led by RJ Barrett with 23 points. I think he'll have seven assists, eight
Plus
rebounds.
six. Plus six, 29.
29, okay, but I think he's going to go there, because I think the reason why I think he'll get that much, because I think it'll be a balanced scoring. I think look for Obi Toppin to have 8 points off the bench. Emmanuel Quickly will have double digits, 11 points there. Alex Burks is going to have a pretty nice solid game there as well. I think the Knicks will have balanced scoring everywhere. Julius Randle will be close to a triple double, but I mean triple double with like 17 points, 10 rebounds, maybe 7 assists type of deal. I think the Knicks will share the ball unselfishly. I think Thibodeau resonated that message to them, and I think they'll come out and put a better show, and we'll be hopefully pleasantly surprised. And one thing the Knicks got to do, do not get into losing streaks. And that's what something you got to preach, and that's how you do it. One loss, you go on and you build. You go for every one loss, you make 3 wins, and you're gonna have a good
Hmm.
season that way. So, with that said, man, we want to thank everyone listening to us here on the podcast and all the platforms that we transmit our podcast in, and those that are gonna watch us in YouTube. Salute to you guys. I hope your day has gone well, wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Dave. Thank you for giving your time. Something valuable that we can never get back is time, and I appreciate you giving us your time to listen to us and entertaining you. Yeah, Chef Dan.
Kev, I just wanted to ask, like, because I be at work a lot of the times. I'm in the kitchen, I'm on my feet all day, or I'm serving the guests, things of that nature. And I usually just with the mask on, I usually just have one headphone in. I'm trying to listen to podcasts. If I wanted to listen to this on podcast form, where can I get this?
Well, of course, you got Anchor FM, you got Spotify. You get the Spotify is a free account. You go to BeanPod. You got Buzzsprout. Pretty soon we'll be in Apple as well as Google Podcast on all the different platforms. We also on Reason FM. If you go to Reason FM, just put Bronx Sports Jedi Network and you hit it. And if you're on in YouTube, we got the QR code, and the QR code is coming right here. I'll put this there. You could scan it with your phone and the QR code, or you could go anywhere in our social media accounts, and we have the QR codes there to take you to the podcast on your audio as well. And you can follow us here. I'll put that on the screen when you're following us on YouTube. If you're hearing us, you can follow us on our social media at Instagram at BX underscore sports underscore Jedi underscore networks, or Twitter at Bronx Sports Jedi Network channel, and YouTube BX Sports Jedi. And you find us on YouTube and LinkedIn at Bronx Sports Jedi, and in Facebook at Bronx Sports Jedi as well. So just follow us on all those different platforms, all the QR codes where you can find us. Also, the merchandise store as well. We have for the MMA program some nice Knicks shirts as well that we've come up with the program, and pretty soon I'll have the Yankee uh, merchandise as well that from the channel, and Ranger Republic of Rangers Town as well. This is one of the podcasts, Ranger Town Republic from the Sports Jedi Network. We do a podcast and drop you one soon. I'm waiting for the Rangers to finish their road trip, and we have a lot to talk about the New York Rangers. And right now, well, we're hold off on the football. We'll be doing the football. Just a midseason report card on both New York Giants and Jets. Only them, because we don't cover too much the league, and also our main man A to Z Media, Zach, covers all the NFL plus the Cowboys. So we assign them that responsibility when it comes to the football, and we can check that out at A to Z Media Network. So salute to Zach and everyone listening to us. We salute you guys. Thank you. Run up those subscribe, the likes, and if you're listening to us on YouTube. And from me to you guys, may the Knicks be with you. May the sports be with you. And we'll catch you on the next podcast, man. I can't wait to see this game tonight. Call this game the action. I'll be here 6:55 to start it, 7 o'clock tip off, and we're ready to go, man. So the return of the Knicks. We'll see you. We out of here.